Okay. So, good morning, guys. My name is Abra, and I will be doing this session on the BW6 and BWCE. So, first of all, I'll start with a brief introduction of myself. So, I have around 16 years in the IT industry, and spent most of my years in the development or the integration stack. I'm majorly working as a TIBCO integration expert. So I worked in BW5, then BW6 and BWC, and currently hold certifications for all of those. Okay. So let's move on to that the course review. So basically, this session is an overview so that you can understand and get the expectations like how and what we are going to cover. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop me anytime and ask. Okay. So let's make the session interactive. Okay, so first of all, the main point that we need to discuss here is the course overview. So, firstly, we usually have sessions 4 days a week and 1 to 1.5 hours. So, we will be covering around say 5 or 6 hours per week, and that would take around 4 or 5 weeks for us to complete. So overall, we would need around 30 hours to complete the course. Okay, so that's about the timeline. Uh, Coming to that sessions themselves. So we would combine both BW6 and BWC. So that depends on again most of this course is tailor made. So we don't believe in that approach of one size fits all. So we would be like letting you decide, or let the batch decide how they want to proceed. Like if for example sometimes what I've seen in the batches is people are interested in a particular product like BW6 or C, even though I would recommend we need to learn both, because development part is more or less same. It's only the deployment part that's different, but I'll defer to the batch. So if the batch is interested to learn any one product, like say BW6 only or BWC only, we can proceed that way. Otherwise, normally what we do is we do the development part first, like combine BW6 and BWC development, and once done, we first of all take up the BW6 deployment, and when done, we go forward to the BWC deployment. Okay.
Abra, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
One question here. So BWC is nothing but BW5, right? 5X version.
Which one? BWC? No, no, no. BW6 and BWC are completely different from BW5. So these
Oh,
are like studio based, and the difference between BW6 and C is that BW6 is like primarily deployed on premise, whereas BWC is primarily deployed on cloud.
okay. So, in case if we
Mm-hmm.
learn this course and
Mm-hmm.
we we go with the same approach, like the aim of us to is to get a job in the same field. So that
Right.
is the ultimate aim here. So now I have seen most of the people they are doing with BW5 version only. Most of the
Mm,
companies are working with 5. So
no,
in case if,
I would differ there. What you have seen is the current trend. So
okay.
BW5 has been there in the industry, say around from 2007. Okay, and
Mhm.
now it's a sunset product. So TIBCO itself is stopping the support of it. Like they are continuing for only specific clients, but most of the clients they are stopping support. Okay, so you would see like in a lot of organizations currently the migration projects are going on. So they are migrating from BW5. Either they are migrating out of TIBCO, or like mostly what they're doing is they're migrating inside TIBCO to either BW6 or C. So that depends on whether the client is comfortable like staying on premise or going to cloud. But
Mhm.
BW5X is now like an obsolete product.
So what you're telling is that in case if we go with six only,
Mhm.
that would be better.
That would be much better. 6 and C, like both of them are like very, like if you can see those job portals also, these two are the like highest like job like main like criteria for the TIBCO site. Okay,
Hmm.
for any of the job like requirements. And
Okay.
we have like huge amount of migration going on in like almost all the organizations.
Okay.
So like in this course, like we will have a separate topic on the migration itself.
Okay.
Okay, so we will cover the sessions, and uh, like as I said, like the sessions are like mostly interactive, and also like we would assume the zero familiarity approach, which means that like even if you are new to BW6 or C, because the thing is, even if you know BW5, the 6 and C is a like a different concept, because like the studio is different. It's based on Eclipse, and like most of the like basic concept will be the same, but the way we implement that will be different. So in even in case you are new to TIBCO and you haven't worked on BW5, even then I don't think that will be a problem, because we will be starting from scratch and like looking at the zero familiarity approach. Okay, so we'll start from like we'll cover all the concepts. We will start with the basics and then we'll work from there. Okay, and also in case of any issues, if you feel any doubts or if you need any clarifications, I will always be there to support you. And not only that, what we do, like the way we like see, this is around the 15th or 16th batch I'm doing with Visualpath. So what we have seen, the approach which works is mostly a combination of this theoretical and this hands-on uh, projects. Okay, so how we like what we have found out as the best approach is like we cover the concepts. Once those are done, we do the hands-on, and most of the session like is hands-on based. Okay, so I don't believe in like giving you the concept so that like you can like uh, learn that by heart. So that doesn't work. Okay, you when you go in the industry and you are looking for a job, when you get interviewed, they would look at your hands-on experience, like what work you have actually done. And when you understand the concepts of the work, you can explain in any situation. So that's what we focus on. So unlike the other like similar courses, what we focus on is making you more confident on the hands-on part. So that's why all the concepts that we will be learning, they will be strictly on hands-on basis. Okay, so we'll cover all the hands-on in the studio itself. And like once those are done, I will be giving you sample POCs that you have to cover, like and create, and then we will like evaluate those. Okay, so that's the approach we take. And the next question, like which logically comes, is what about the software? So software, like TIBCO software is licensed. Okay, so you won't be able to get the licensed version unless you already have it. Uh, what I would suggest is what we suggest to the students is like I would be giving you like say after like first few classes. So when we are like all like clear on how to install, like we will first cover like when we start the sessions. The first few sessions will be the overview of that studio, what is the layout, how to work, and how to install. So once we are done with that part, I will be sharing you one TIBCO link, which is a TIBCO that trial portal where you can register and you can download the software. Okay, and that trial version is like the license is valid for 30 days. But even after that license expires, you can still like in a local machine, you can still use it for development and learning. Okay, so you would install those softwares in each of your machines, and you can follow whatever we are doing in the sessions. Okay, so you can even do the hands-on during the sessions. If you get stuck anywhere, let me know and I will like we will work on that together. Okay.
Yeah, bro. quick
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
So I do have experience in BW6 and BW5, but I'm just looking for
Okay.
BWCE. So that is only the
Mm-hmm.
deployment part is different, right? So in that
Correct.
case, like how you want me to proceed? So
Uh, so see, like we have like this is like a common scenario for most of the batches. So we have a mixed like a mixed bag. So people like some people want both. Some people want only BW6 and some people want C. Okay. So like again, like that depends on the majority of the batch. So like after this overview session, we need to check with you guys like what exactly are you looking for, and based on that, like we can decide. But like for example, see, like mostly what happens is people like, since like you will be paying like for this course, so people want to learn both the skills. Okay. So if the majority of the batch wants that, then for you initially like that won't be much help. Like you can join because, but you, since you know that, I don't think that would add much to your already known skills. So what I would suggest is like if you want the CE part. So yeah, another thing is like certain things are different in BW6 and C. So those when we do those concepts, I will be pointing those out. So that may be something like what you can do is like what we like we would record each and every session. Okay. So even if you do not like join the initial BW6 development sessions, you can have a recording, you can go through them. I like, since you know it won't take much time, so you can only like focus on those parts where we are pointing out what's difference between BW6 and C in the development part. So once we covered that initial development part and the BW6 deployment, so if you need that, you can have the recordings, or you can directly join for the BWC sessions. But like as I said, like it's depends on how the batch wants to proceed. Okay, so we don't have anything hard and fast or like pre-decided.
okay,
Okay,
got it. Thank you.
sure. Okay. Anyone, any other questions? Feel free to ask me.
So Abra,
Yeah.
my name is Ayaz. So I've been working in IT industry for almost 10.5 years. So I am
Okay.
basically working on testing, software testing. So
Okay.
just wanted to switch my domain to TIBCO. So
Mm-hmm.
how helpful it will be? So few of my friends told that it would since you cannot cope up on coding skills, so better
Mm-hmm.
take this up. So since BW's TIBCO business works, it is
Mm-hmm.
coding, non-coding biz. Is that right, Abra?
So like
We have
there
zero
is
code.
coding involved. Yeah, it's like not exactly low code, but like it's easier like rather than learning a particular computer language, because this is
Mhm,
GUI based. Okay, so we have certain palettes which we can drag and drop, and most of the things are already done. So it you need like rather than like the coding skills, you would need more or less the logical skills.
mhm,
So
mhm.
in that way, yes, like if you are like not very much experience in Java or like any other of the languages, comparatively TIBCO will be easier for you.
Okay, so it's doable, right, for anybody who start from the scratch, and it's
That is
achievable.
doable. Yes, it is achievable, and like we will make sure it's achievable. So I will be explaining in, as I said, like we have even trained students like who are out of college and they have no idea of the IT industry. So even they
Mhm.
got like over like covered the sessions and like even got certified. Okay, the TIPCO certification, and got jobs. So that's definitely doable, and we will make sure that's doable. So as I said, like we will be doing every concepts hands-on, so you'll get an idea. Apart from
Mhm.
that, if you are stuck anywhere or need any help, that also we will be like providing during the course.
Okay. So one more question, Abra. So you were
Mm.
telling that you'll be covering like 1.5 hour per day. So what time this batch starts usually?
Okay. So like see. Usually what we did was initially we had the sessions from Monday to Friday, like every day 1 hour earlier.
Mhm.
Now because like most of the people have to go to office and most of the organizations have started calling people back to office, so we
Mhm.
usually like we need to see like what's the best time. Usually on the weekdays it will be from 7 to 8, but like on which specific weekdays we need to like work that out with Visualpath.
That should be good because 7 to 8 is a good
Mhm.
timing. Yeah, as you
E-
said, we have to go to office, so
exactly, yeah, because of that reason only like we have like brought the time earlier
it
like
will be
uh,
7 to 8, right? Uh,
most likely yes, on weekdays definitely it will be 7 to 8. If we need to go on weekends then that would be around like 7 to 8:30, 1.5 hours for like Saturday Sunday, in case that's required, like if we cannot cover for the 5 weekdays,
and
but
this
like
is like
nothing is decided yet.
you'll be
Hmm.
covering this in a month of time, or a little bit more of time is required.
See, usually we say like you can see here we have mentioned 40 hours. Usually it's take like 40 hours is like taking everything. Like see the main like reason why we have a delay, like mostly it won't be in 1 month. Okay, usually we have like we need to stretch a bit, and the main reason for that is like we are doing most of the concepts hands on. Okay, so hands on takes time. Sometimes something will not work, we have to rework. Sometimes you will get some issues while working yourself, then we have to like we again will try to work that out, so those things take time. So covering them all 40 hours should be like and average estimate.
And bro, coming to this cloud, so which cloud you are going to use
Yeah.
to deploy?
I would be using AWS as the means of deployment.
Hmm.
So I don't have access for like TCI has like 1 month access. So
Correct.
like yeah. So if I can, sorry. So if I can like get an user ID or like a mail ID to register, then I can show TCI as well. But AWS would be the one that we will be focusing on, like for the generic clouds.
Okay. Are we using any containers like Docker or Kubernetes? Are we touching that?
Yes, definitely, because like we need the container. So like Docker we will be using. So what like how we will be doing that deployment is like we will be Dockerizing. Like once we see during the hands-on sessions, we will create some of the POCs, like usually the REST based.
Hmm.
Then we will Dockerize that, and then like when that image is created, we will deploy that on the AWS, and we will run one sample and check.
Okay. Which
Okay,
service
so
you are using in AWS?
we will be using the ECS, the Elastic Cloud, Elastic Container.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And for the
Hello, Sabra.
Kubernetes part, yes, just 1 minute. So for the Kubernetes part, we won't have access because Kubernetes is licensed and I don't have a trial version for that. So for Kubernetes, what we will be doing is we will be like whatever is the step-by-step setup, how we work with Kubernetes, what are the like areas how to set up, and like how to work with Kubernetes. Like Kubernetes is basically the orchestration. Like once we deploy on cloud, we can use Kubernetes to deploy like to check or monitor the pods and the nodes. So those parts I will be sharing screenshots and I will be explaining how to do that. But hands-on on Kubernetes that won't be possible.
Hello. Hi,
Yeah.
Abra. This is Sheetal, and I've
Yes,
got
ma'am.
around 5 years of experience on TIBCO BW5. I mean, overall, I have more than 10 years, but on
Mm-hmm.
BW5 development part, I've got around
Okay.
5 years. But
Mm-hmm.
and that too, I mean, I worked on the development like around 5 years back.
Mm-hmm.
My query is so on the weekends, what will be the
Mm-hmm.
timings of this session? Because I'm looking for the weekend courses. Um, so,
Okay. So
uh,
usually, like what I like what we had the initial discussion, like it's not decided currently. Okay, but what we had the initial discussion was we will have sessions on Tuesday, Thursday, uh, on the weekdays, and weekends, Saturday, Sunday. Like the timing would like it starts from 7. And weekdays, since people have office, so we will limit that to 1 hour, so 7 to 8 on weekdays. And weekends, maybe it will stretch to 1.5 hours. So that way we'll cover 3 hours on weekends and 2 hours on weekdays, so 5 hours each week. So we were thinking like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like we will
Tuesday and
take preference of everyone
Thursday.
again.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it is Tuesday and Thursday, 7 a.m. IST, right?
7 a.m. Yes, IST, right.
Okay.
Hello, Abra.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yes, sure.
Actually, I just want to know, I am
Hmm.
from support background. I'm into TIBCO
Okay,
in support background. Like, I have worked in
okay.
5X
Mhm.
versions. So,
Hmm.
is this a class mainly of development part, and or it is also including support part, and you will give some hands-on on support part as well.
Support part, like if you mean like the checking of the logs or like deployment, so that part we are anyways going to cover. Okay, but mainly what we are going to do initially is we will focus on the development. So the first, like say if we divide the 40 hours into 20 and 20, then first 20 or 25 hours would be dedicated to the development part. Okay, for BW6 and C both. Once done, like say the next breakup would be say around 5 to 6 hours we would dedicate to the deployment of BW6, and in that we will be like like creating those app spaces, app nodes. We will see like from the GUI and from the script how to do that, and we will deploy our applications, monitor those logs, change the settings. So those part we will be doing. So those are part of the support, like platform support. After that, like the remaining 7 to 8 sessions we will dedicate to the cloud, and there also we will see how to like dockerize and how to deploy the applications on the cloud. So for the support parts specifically, we will like have that scope from that, like when we are doing the BW6 deployment in the TEA. So there like I think that portion would help you for the support. And also like if you know that BWC deployment parts, and that would be an add-on help.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you are telling
And
me about you will give the support for the C and as well as 6 both or
correct, exactly.
deploy.
Yes. So
Okay.
development also both and deployment also both.
Okay. Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone, any other questions? Any clarifications you would need? Okay. So I'll just move forward in the interest of time. If you have any questions or feel like anything, asking anything, feel free to stop me and ask. So since this overview session, I'll just quickly touch on the particular subjects. So some of you may already know this, but like for the benefit of others, I'll still go over this slide. So basically, like we have two parts, right? The BW6 and C. So like question is like why we have two very similar products in the market. So usually like what happened, like how this generated was like BW5 was TIBCO's flagship integration product. Okay, that was like it was in deployed like it was released in 2007, and it was one of the market leaders in the integration space because none of the other competitors had similar like GUI based tools back then. Okay, so TIBCO was the leader at the time. So a lot of projects that we did at the time in the integration space that involved BW5. Now with the like slowly from say 2011-12, so other competitors came up in the market. Say one of the major one was MuleSoft. So they had the GUI based integration, and again like from 2014 onwards, that cloud migration journey that started. So TIBCO was falling behind the other competitors. Okay, because BW5 did not have any cloud capabilities. Okay, it had very limited REST capabilities, and the UI also was like something of like not of an industry standard. So all this worked against TIBCO. So at that time we saw a lot of clients exiting TIBCO. Okay. So to like address this trend, TIBCO introduced these two products, BW6 and C. One of the main reasons for introduction was that both these products were uh, anyone wants to ask anything? Okay. So the main reason behind like introducing this BW6 and C was that like both of these were Eclipse based. Okay, so which means like it was an industry standard, and like Java developers or the other .NET developers, they would not need to relearn that entire UI to start working on that. Okay, so that was one of the first benefits, making it industry standard. Secondly, they made it Maven compliant so that we can use the Maven utilities to quickly deploy our application. So that also worked in the favor of this. Thirdly, like they kept most of the integration principles similar. Initial versions had a number of constraints, but the later versions, like the latest ones that we have, those the like basic integration principles, those have been kept unchanged. So the basic integration principles of BW5, those still apply to 6 and C. Okay, the difference is in the deployment part. So initially BW5, what how it got deployed was in the on-premise. We the client used to have multiple servers where we used to deploy install the BW admin, and then we used to create a domain and they are deployed. Okay, so it was like more or less a standard on-premise architecture based. When the cloud came into the picture, so that BWC became an important traction force. Okay, so what the TIBCO intended was clients who were conservative, that is, who wanted to like move from BW5 platform to the BW6 platform to like leverage all those new features, but were still interested to continue on premise. For them, they introduced the BW6, which was just a upgrade from BW5, but the deployment architecture was still the same, that is on premise in their servers only. And for the other like more adventurous clients or the smaller clients who did not want to spend so much on the infrastructure side, for them they introduced the BWCE. So what the benefit was that the coding part would be the same, they would create the application the same way, just that they would be able to dockerize their application into images and then deploy either on TIBCO's own provided cloud infrastructure, that is the TCI, or on the on any of the generic cloud platforms. Okay, so that was the intention with which like TIBCO introduced both these products. Okay, and like initially BW6 was more popular because like clients were more comfortable moving from BW5 on premise to BW6 on premise, but slowly, as we know, like the trend shifted. So now currently BWC is the like leading offering from TIBCO. So clients are moving more and more to cloud, and they are migrating from 5 to directly to CE. Okay, so coming to the USP, or the like better features of this BW6 and C, one of the like most important features and upgrade is that the REST supportability has been introduced. Okay, so REST is something like which BW5 was not compliant with initially. So in like usually in like if you see the older versions of BW5, then the primary mode of exposing a service was through SOAP, and like TIBCO later introduced the six that REST plugin for BW5, but that had a lot of complications. Okay, BW6 and C on the other hand, it was in like REST native. That is, you don't need any specific or separate plugins to create a REST interface. Okay, so it just takes just a few clicks and drag and drop to create a REST interface in minutes. Okay, so it's very easy and the REST support is good Also, we have the Swagger support so that like we can mock up the interface at the at the local level only. So suppose you have created a REST interface and you want to test it before giving it to the clients. So you don't need a third party tool like SoapUI or Postman to test the REST. You can use the Swagger utility like inbuilt inside the TIBCO engine to mock up the engine locally and send the request and test. Okay, so that like the entire setup, like the creation to testing, is much easier when it comes to BW6 and C, the studio platform. Okay, so that's one of the major upgrades. The other major difference or the improvement is the Java support. So Java support has been tremendously increased in the studio because it is Eclipse in the backend, right? So we have a lot of like in BW5, what we used to do is if you have to use a Java code, you have to create the Java code separately in an Eclipse, compile that, use the jar, and like create the jar and then use it in the TIBCO BW6, BW5. So that created a constraint, so you could only use a specific functionality at a time. Here, based on your requirement, and if you're confident enough to work in Java, you can create your own classes, own methods inside the studio itself and use them for use them directly in the project. Okay, you can even create custom functions using the custom Java functions, and you can use them in the project. So you have a lot of options when it comes to the uh, Java method creation and Java class creation in the studio. So you can do that directly in the in that studio itself and use it in the project. So you don't need to export jars from external. Okay. So that's the other major upgrade that the studio version has over BW5. Okay, and also like we have a lot of plugins both for BW6 and C which connect to a lot of third parties, so that also would make it easier for you to work in a multi-vendor environment. Okay.
So Abra, one question here. So how far we need to know Java here? So it's only the basic knowledge or
No, basic
uh,
knowledge would be fine. See, that depends again on what you are trying to achieve. But if you have like certain say basic functionality, so like initial knowledge of Java, how to what is the class, what is the method, how to invoke that, that part should be okay. Okay, so that's
okay,
the initial thing. But if you have expertise in Java, what I'm saying is you can uh, improvise. Okay, so that's the thing. But if the basic knowledge of Java should be fine for working in normally in TIBCO.
okay,
Okay. Yeah, because that TIBCO, since it is Eclipse, they have increased the scope. So it's up to you how much you want to utilize. You can achieve
hmm,
the same things in TIBCO itself, but if you are conversant in Java, you can go that route as well.
okay.
Okay.
So, Abra, one question. So,
Yeah.
are you also covering something about mastery as well?
Mashery we directly don't cover because like the main constraint is Mashery is again licensed and like very costly.
Mm-hmm.
So and also I'm not an expert in Mashery. If you want, I
Okay.
can give you the overview and the basics of Mashery, but I can't go into the depth of it. Like this course will not cover Mashery in detail.
Okay. And one last thing, like TCI
Hmm.
is only for the deployment, which will be useful, or even is there any separate development in that TCI as well?
There is one development part usually that's the Flogo based development. So we can create certain it's not exactly development, but it's more of an orchestration. So suppose you have say 5 applications deployed on the TCI. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you need to manage the flow how one application will in which order one application will call the other. So that flow we can orchestrate in the TCI editor. Okay,
Okay, but
so
not
that
like
is
a
one. No, not
development what
like
we
this
do in
development.
the
No, no,
studio. Okay.
no, no.
So
So
then,
that part
if
we will Mhm.
If somebody is using TCI, in the sense the same thing, they are using the uh, studio to develop and deploying into TCI.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And like another good part of TCI is like you can have a hybrid model. So you can have part of your ecosystem in on-premise, and you have to create certain hybrid connectors to connect those to your deployed applications. So those
Okay.
things TCI will provide.
Okay.
Okay, so these are like some of the screenshots like from the service setup. So we will like one of the major parts of our development will be discussing on the services. So both SOAP and REST services will cover in detail. Okay, because that's the like most important topic when you go to interviews. Okay, and also like in your actual project also you may be required to create those. So you'll like spend a lot of time discussing the concepts and the hands-on of creating those SOAP services and REST services. Okay. So now coming to the deployment part, like first of all, the BW6 part. So this is like an like taken from the TIBCO document. So this is the entire ecosystem, like how the BW6 deployment works. So we have a like series of domains, app spaces, and app nodes, and like they are joined using the BW agents. So BW agents are like uh, functioning as the intermediates. So they receive the request from us, and the BW agent actually execute the commands on the domain. Okay. So we will like cover this like in detail when we are doing the session, and we will see like how to set up the BW agents, how to create each and every component, and then deploy our application.
And this TIBCO,
Yeah.
is it installable on Windows machine or any other operating system?
Yes. Yes. So that link that I will be providing, you can download the software for any specific OS type that you have. So you can have one version for Mac, one version for Windows, one for Linux.
Okay,
I
okay.
think they offer these three versions for the free download, and for the paid they have other containers and other ISOs as well. But these
So it
three they will
has
provide
support
in
for
the
Windows
free.
11 also, right?
Yes, this is like my machine. Like I'm running on Windows 11, so it's compatible.
Okay.
Yeah. So CE part, like this is the portion where we differ from the BW6 deployment. So whereas we had those app spaces and app nodes in BW6, here we have like these are the deployment targets. So like for the C, we'll focus on this container and the TIBCO cloud. So we will Dockerize our application. Like there is a build pack available. So we will create the base image, then we will deploy the base image on the cloud. So this is on a very high level how we deploy to cloud. So if we are like after we create the EAR, if you want to deploy on TCI, we can directly push that EAR to TCI. We don't need any images. But if we are wanting to deploy on any generic cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP, then we have to go this other route. So we have to first Dockerize that, use the Docker. That is like one technology that helps EARs to be converted into images. So these images then are deployed on the on that cloud platform, and that like when the images are running in the cloud platform, they are the containers. So basically what we do is we convert our EARs into containers and then deploy on the cloud platform. Okay, so that's very high level. So here we will cover like two technologies are covered like supported in TIBCO for the containerization, that is the Docker or and the Pivotal Cloud Foundry PCF. So like Docker is the most popular, so I have the setup for Docker, so we will focus on the Docker part. Okay, so we'll see how we use a Docker to Dockerize that, create the image, and then deploy on one of the standard cloud platforms. Okay. So that's in a nutshell how we are going to proceed. So if you have any further questions, feel free to ask me. Okay.
Abra, one
Let me know
last
if you,
question.
yep, sure,
Uh,
sure, go on.
so till the end, you'll only be conducting these classes, right? Or any other trainer will take?
No, no, I am the, I am the only one. So I'll be covering that entire session.
Okay.
So are we covering something related to certification as well in this?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot that completely. Right. So, like for the certification, see, what we will be doing is like during the course itself, like we will be like covering those hands-on in details. So, what parts we cover and what concepts we'll cover, that will automatically be applicable for the certification. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is like after we clear like cover the session, I have certain dumps from the like even the last year's certification exams. So I will share those, like those are not the complete sets. So like in for the TIBCO certification, so for the 6 and C, you have two levels of certification now. Okay, so one is the basic level, which is the TCA, that is the TIBCO certified associate, and the actual one, the higher one, that's the TCP, the TIBCO certified professional. So I will be sharing you the dumps both for TCA. So TCA, I will be basically sharing you one document. So in my experience and like whatever I have heard from the students of previous batches, so like 70 or 80% comes in common for the TCA exam. So that dump should be good for TCA. For TCP, it's a little bit difficult, so I don't have that entire dump. Only like 20 or 25 or 30 maybe set of questions. But those questions are like taken from the dump, and unless that base version of the question has been changed, so you will get a lot of common from that. So both like whatever concepts we cover in class plus those dumps should be good enough to get you cleared in your first attempt. Okay. So I'll be handing out those dumps to you at the end of the session. Okay.
Abra,
Anything
uh,
else? Yeah.
yeah. So, as I told you earlier, just in case if you want to switch to this TIBCO, so most of the job openings, what I have seen is like they
Mm.
ask for 6 years to 10 years of experience, or lesser than greater than 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what what we get hands on here. So
Mm-hmm.
is it to compete in the industry, or how is it? Because I'm new to it.
No, I understand that question. Yeah, that's logical. So let me just like break that down. So like whatever hands-on, see, we even though we would dedicate say around 40 odd hours, so that will be part development, part deployment. Okay. So
Mhm,
based on hands-on, so for the development part, we will be dedicating around 20 25 hours. So definitely that won't be enough to cover say 5 years of experience. But
mhm.
like uh, since we are like doing the concepts in depth and we are doing like more or less like that entire array of palettes that are provided in TIBCO, so you can like it should be good enough if you say like you have around 3 years of experience. Okay, so you can like support that partly for that support tasks, partly for deployment development. So that should cover 3 or 3 plus years, because we are also going to do that deployment part in detail. Okay, so that way you can cover, so partly development, partly support. But whatever concepts we would be doing, if you follow those, then that should be good enough to get you in like most of the organizations and clear like most of the interviews. Okay, and the
Oh,
other thing is if you get TIBCO certified, then like other questions would like not be very valid. Okay, so they would look at the certification. If you are TCP certified, then it proves that you are like an expert in TIBCO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have had students in the past who had cleared both TCP for BW6 and CE during the course itself. Okay, we have multiple
How much
instances.
this certifications cost, Abra?
Okay, so certifications, if you go to the site, the TCA would cost $100, like the normal price, and TCP each for BW6 and C, they would be $300. But TIBCO
Okay.
gives out, like TIBCO currently is trying to get more and more people certified, so they give out those concessions, coupons, codes, etc. from time to time. So if you have that, like even you can go, like if you can go for a discount. Okay, but that depends on like when TIBCO would release those codes. And sometimes they like focus on organizations. So for large organizations, they have those certification drives where for a particular day you get the entire day, you can try any exams for free.
Okay.
So, bro, one thing like
Yeah.
stream base, right? So, do you also have the experience in the stream base? I know, I think this is totally different, but
um, Stream base, I don't have much experience. So like the main constraint is that like we in the industry itself, like very like it's a very niche product. So
correct.
that yeah, so we don't have much exposure to that. So that's why, like, yeah, I also haven't worked on Streambase.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, so I would request you all to provide your contact details to Kiranmay over chat or like separately, so that she can connect with you regarding those batch details.